Okay, the first part of it, he goes through and talks about different plans and why they are fallible in one way or another. And he comes to the conclusion, he and his friend, that the best thing to do would be to combine 5 of these programs, plans, ideas, philosophies, and come up with a complete lives system. That's what he calls it. The complete lives system. So this is the last part of his paper, and if you want to go look at this paper, I will put the link up on the side. And when you go to the Lancet website, you will probably have to register. It doesn't cost anything, but you're going to have to register and take a username and all that to read the complete articles. So, but I'm going to post the link. So this is the complete lives system that he says would be the best way to handle it if we had to ration health care. He says, because none of the currently used systems satisfy all ethical requirements for just allocation, we propose an alternative, the complete lives system. This system incorporates 5 principles: youngest first, prognosis, saving the most lives, lottery, and instrumental value. As such, it prioritizes younger people who have not yet lived a complete life and will be unlikely to do so without aid. Okay, that's this paragraph up to here. And he goes on to say many thinkers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, consideration of the importance of complete lives also supports modifying the youngest first principle by prioritizing adolescents and young adults over infants. It's got a nice little figure I'm going to show you in a minute too. Adolescents have received substantial education and parental care, investments that will be wasted without a complete life. Infants, by contrast, have not yet received these investments. Similarly, adolescence bring with it a developed personality capable of forming and valuing long-term plans whose fulfillment requires complete life. I love this line. The audacity. As the legal philosopher Ronald Dworkin argues, it is terrible when an infant dies, but worst, most people think, when a 3-year-old child dies, and worse still, when an adolescent does. He goes on to say, this argument is supported by empirical surveys. Okay, so y'all did a bunch of surveys asking people, which would be worse? Do you call that a straw man? What do you call that? If you automatically assume one is worse in the question, then of course people are going to have to choose. If they're going to answer the question, they have to choose which is worse. They're all bad. They're terrible. You can't quantify whether it's worse to lose a 3-year-old or an infant or an adolescent. This is in his paper. Importantly, the prioritization of adolescents and young adults considers the social and personal investments that people are morally entitled to have received at a particular age, rather than accepting the results of an unjust status quo. Consequently, poor adolescents should be treated the same as wealthy ones, even though they may have received less investment owing to social justice. Okay, now here's his little scale. Let me give you the full-size image. There you go. There's the scale. It says probability of receiving an intervention over here. This is his age-based priority for receiving scarce medical interventions under the complete lives system. This is his plan. Probability of receiving an intervention. This is what goes up. Age 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. It only goes up to 70. Do you see this? Probability of receiving an intervention when you are 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time you're 10, the probability of receiving an intervention is only about 75%. And the most important people are people between the ages of 20 and 32. something like that maybe. And it just goes downhill from there, and then it starts to steeply decline when you hit 52, about 52 there, and then it kind of narrows off, and they'll just let y'all, but you're only going to get like 25%. You only have a 25% probability of receiving an intervention. Okay, this is under his scarce resources plan. Okay, let's go back to his, there we go. Next, the Complete Lives system also considers prognosis, since its aim is to achieve complete lives. A young person with a poor prognosis has had few life years but lacks the potential to live a complete life. Considering prognosis forestalls the concerns that disproportionately large amounts of resources will be directed to young people with poor prognosis, when the worst off can benefit only slightly, while better off people could benefit greatly. Allocating to the better off is often justifiable. Some small benefits, such as a few weeks of life, might also be intrinsically insignificant when compared with large benefits. Now, that guy that was yelling at the town hall meeting that had his son in the wheelchair the other night, and he was saying under Obama's plan, "You will not take care of my son." This is the sentence. This is the reason that that man thinks that. Now, do you think he has good reason to think that? This is Ezekiel Emanuel, the president's advisor on health and human services and human and resources. This is him on science. This is the guy. So, yeah, no, we're just spreading rumors. We're not talking about anything real. I mean, we're just talking out of our hats. When implemented, the Complete Lives system produces a priority curve on which individuals aged between roughly 15 and 40 years get the most substantial chance, whereas the youngest and oldest people get chances that are attenuated. Yeah, that's your choices. That's going to be your preference that you get to choose. I like this little final paragraph in this part before the objections. Finally, the Complete Lives system is least vulnerable to corruption. Age can be established quickly and accurately from identity documents. Prognosis allocation encourages physicians to improve patients' health, unlike the perverse incentives to sicken patients or misrepresent health that the sickest first allocations creates. Yeah. Okay, they even thought about what if somebody objects to the plan. You know, there's going to be some objections. Maybe, perhaps, you think. So they considered several objections. One of the objections that they considered is that the Complete Lives system discriminates against older people, and the age-based allocation is ageism. This is their answer. Unlike allocation by sex or race, allocation by age is not invidious discrimination. Every person lives through different life stages, rather than being a single age. Even if 25-year-olds receive priority over 65-year-olds, everyone who is 65 years now was previously 25. Okay. Treating 65-year-olds differently because of stereotypes or falsehoods would be ageist. Treating them differently because they have already had more life years is not. Okay, on what planet? Alright. Anyway. These are more objections that they thought about. And their conclusion. And I'm sure I left some stuff out, and I can go back and... So there may be, after this point, there may be some pieced in pieces where you can see that I skipped around, but I'm just trying to cover it all and trying not to make this too long. But here's all the information, and you guys can look at it yourselves. Thanks for listening.